Hello, welcome to this O&DR Modurol video. This is video MT09 in our series of XK8 videos detailing how we converted our automatic Jaguar XK8 to manual transmission. In this video we're going to explore how or the problems associated with fitting the modified pedal box into the car and some of the issues you've got to address. So let's grab our modified pedal box and I'll show you. Follow me. So let's look at the pedal box briefly on the bench. So in this video I'm going to break it down into sections as per usual. First we'll talk about the hole size this has got to fit on the car, so the actual body. Then we'll look at the master cylinder position, and then the pedal arm positioning and the clearances, etc. And then we'll look at actually trying to put the whole thing in as a single piece, but then there's a clue, put it in as separate pieces. Okay, for this section I'm going to actually do it handheld because you really need to see inside properly. So this is the part of the car where the pedal box has to go. Obviously it's behind that panel, and you can see there's actually a main location. This is where the actual pedal box sits against, and you got your four fixing points. There's two weld nuts here, and there's also two studs here and here, which actually attach to weld nuts on the back as well. And you can see further into the car there's another aperture with a return flange. And you can see there in between these two pieces of, it's basically just foam, a bit's broken off here because this is where I'm forcing my clutch in. This is where the brake pedal normally operates, inside, in between those two pieces of foam. So if you take some measurements, the distance from one edge to the other is 152 millimeters, and front to back in car is 118 millimeters. To give you some idea, so this is actually where the brake pedal is, as I said. So you're going to be 110 millimeters away to get to the brake. So the clutch, sorry, pedal is actually directly under this part. So you clearly, this hole's not big enough to have a straight clutch pedal. Okay, we'll look at more details of this with the other brackets. Next then, section 2 and master cylinder position. I'm showing you here roughly well, where it's located with its separate bracket. I've just bolted it temporarily in, and it's sitting where it should do. So you've got to position the master cylinder firstly so it clears the windscreen wiper link. Lots of people have said I'll modify the link, but you want to keep the modifications to a minimum. You will notice I've drilled a hole here to actually get good access to this fixing underneath, because what you'll find, or what I found, was that because we're increasing in the height here, it steadily gets more difficult to get at that bolt, and it's put a hole there. I don't think it severely weakens this bracket, and I've got a good access. So when you look at the cylinder, so you position it sort of forward in car enough and far enough to the side. Well, this is actually the maximum distance I can actually bring the cylinder towards me, or to the right hand side in car, because it actually hits against the pedal box here. Obviously I'm using a 4 bolt pedal box, as you can see here. With the 3 bolt you actually have a little bit more leeway this way, coming this way, maybe 5 or 10 millimeters. So in theory it will be slightly better clearance here. And if we look underneath, talk about the clearance on the body. Sorry, just try and get focus. So, yeah, got it there. You can see here where I've cut away, it's actually quite close to the master cylinder rod, but it has good clearance there. But I was more concerned with the clevis, which is attached to the bottom, which is the square piece that has the pivot or to the brake arm, when that was coming through the body. I've since redesigned that, but we'll cover that in another video. So this is the real clearance. So you can imagine if you tilt the cylinder forward in car, you're going to get better clearance around here, but then it shortens the lever to your fulcrum of your brake pedal. So it's a bit of a balancing act. I think I've reached a compromise there. The cylinder looks reasonably vertical, and I've got good clearance to the body, albeit I've nibbled a tiny bit away. I'll show you how much. I've got a picture I'll insert now to the video which shows you roughly how much I've taken away. I'll probably cover the method in another video. Before we moved on to the next section, just a quick talk about the mounting for the servo. You can see here the servo mounting roughly position. I don't know if you can see that. It's about a finger's width away from the body. Plus, there is actually this indent. Interesting, there's this indent in the body to clear the master cylinder. Now, if we look at the unit on the bench, you can actually see the requirements. So here's the plane of the pedal box, and you can see the master cylinder slightly underneath. So if you contemplate using the Jaguar, we'll go back to this Jaguar XK8 pedal box. These bolting points are almost at the bottom. As you can see, the bolt points on the plastic one are, I don't know, 25mm up, an inch up. So if you try and use this XKS pedal box, this servo is going to be far lower, and even that indent in the body is not going to be good enough to allow it to fit. Just an aside, we'll go on to the next section. Just twist that around. So it's very easy to put in. Put the flash on because it's quite dark in here, but you can, I don't know whether you can see that. I've had to relieve the brake pedal itself because it was fouling against this inner rim of material. So you got to watch that. So I had to a couple of pedal designs to avoid that. Plus this pivot point here, you can see through this little aperture. Trying to get that so it worked in line. Difficult to get it to work without moving the bracket. So I've had to tune that a bit because it got very close to the car body again. So that's one thing else. So there is an advantage to having that pivot point on your brake pedal as low as possible. I'll show you that with the on the completed one, the completed assembly on the bench. Back to the bench then, and to try and explain this clearance issue, this window, and why it's needed. So I've just bolted this up for the purposes of this demonstration. So actually this is roughly where that weld nut and stud is. You can see it gets quite close to this clevis at the bottom of the cylinder. This is at the lowest point of the cylinder. Obviously the cylinder in theory will go up 35.6 millimeters or an inch, 1.4 inches. So it's going to be up here. And then basically the clevis itself will start to go through the window, hence why you need a bigger window. So this is another reason why if you have a longer rod, that doesn't become an issue, and you might get away with just clearance for the rod rather than the clevis, etc. Hopefully you understand that. There is another reason. If we go into the car, there are some clearance issues you can see in the footwell of the car. First of all, the clutch pedal, as it moves back, gets extremely close to the footrest extension. So your foot's going to be over here somewhere, so your foot's going to foul that. So this is going to have to be got rid of. So I've already taken that away. That literally just clips in. If you don't know how to do it, there's two retaining clips at each end that need to be teased off. It's not easy, but it basically just clips on. The remaining footrest, I think, may still be a problem because it's just about going to touch the pedal as it reaches its fullest extent. So chances are I'm going to remove that. And the side of the trim, I might actually remove this. I noticed on an MGB Roadster, instead of carpet, they've put some very thin vinyl, which will gain you a few millimeters, which is interesting to see how they'd solve that solution in a very tight footwell. So if we go underneath, you'll find when the pedal is all the way back, I'm gonna have to put, it gets very close to the steering rack here, and actually at the top here, I'm a bit worried it's too close to here. So this is one of the earlier pedals. I've actually moved these bend points down about 20 millimeters, so we get good clearances to the steering rack and to where it comes through the body. I've also, anybody who've not, the travel from the pedal is I've got it all going all the way back to the bulkhead, which is about 150 millimeter or 6 inches. Section 4, assembling, putting it in as a complete unit or not. So one of the reasons it won't work is because of the pedals. Once you've added this clutch pedal with the offset, to achieve your 110 millimeter pitch, it basically becomes larger than the aperture of the hole it's going through. You can probably twist that 90 degrees to get it to go in, but the hole underneath, as you can see, is even narrower, so you've actually got no chance whatsoever. Interestingly, I've seen a lot of these conversions with sort of triangular pedals, and I always wondered why they use the triangular pedal feet, but this must be one of the reasons why, because it's obviously a lot easier to get it to go in there if the pedals are slightly triangular and narrower. Another reason is this thing, the brake pedal sensor. Now the width across here becomes too large as well. It's basically the same width as the hole, and that coupled with the brake pedal bracket means you can't get it in, and it's extremely difficult. A bit of an aside, I've actually removed the throttle linkage to allow it to go in, because the throttle linkage actually comes from here through this hole here, so it's really right in the middle. I've had to undo the throttle linkage. That makes a difference. So that's why you can't put it in as a hole. Section 5 then, fitting the bits in separately. So you can take the clutch pedal and the hinge bracket, and it simply goes in without any trouble. Just twist that way. So it's very easy to put in. I'm trying to get this fitment to these studs. I don't know whether you see, there's a small, larger diameter portion. I'm trying to get it to locate on those positively to reduce any movement to a minimum. So that's the first stage. Drop the pedal bracket in. The pedal arm itself is already on there. I then remove the brake switch bracket, because it's really difficult to put in with that in position, so I keep that separate, and I'll take the remaining assembly and fit that. Okay, so this is the main pedal box. You can see I've pushed the brake pedal in, and it's going to be extremely difficult to do this one-handed. It's bad enough doing it two-handed. Get rid of my throttle cable. Right, okay, you can see I've dropped it roughly in position. Now what I have a problem is the clevis, and you can see that, doesn't want to go in the aperture. So I'll have to put the camera down for a minute. I've got to tease that into there. Sorry, a bit of jiggly pokery off camera, but I can see, sorry, you probably can't see, but I'm down now. It's down. The pedal box in position. But obviously you've noticed my brake bracket is missing. So now this comes the last portion of the assembly. I'm now going to lift this off enough to tease the brake pedal underneath, brake pedal bracket. Hopefully you can see that. I've got the lifted up ever so slightly. I can get the brake bracket just underneath, and I'll get it. So you can see I've got the bracket connected underneath, albeit the bracket, the whole thing isn't the right way. It's just lift in position, there you go. Okay, once your pedal box is in, you've got to then put the fixing, so you can get access to this nut here pretty easily with a flexible joint. The bolt will go directly in that hole. Obviously I've made a clearance hole here to get at that bolt. You do need a slightly longer one because obviously I've got two thicknesses of 3mm, one for the cylinder bracket and one for the pedal bracket, so I'm using a slightly longer bolt for that. Then finally there is a nut to go directly under there, which is quite tricky to get at, but it's possible to get your hand down the side here and put the nut on. And then what I've devised is this tool here, which I then can slip behind here and then quietly tighten the nut up, if you get what I mean. So I'm hoping putting it all together should be, or bolting it all down, is getting a bit more straightforward. Only problem now is actually the brake pedal is not connected to the master cylinder, so we need to go in the car for that. So the idea now is, obviously I've got my clutch pedal, but it's not connected to anything, so I need to get my hand right up there. Can you see the clevis there? Push the clevis over the pivot point of the brake pedal, and then put in my clevis pin and then clip it in place. Obviously the more difficult it is, the more difficult it's going to be to get it off. I don't want to be caught unable to remove it. So this is a reason why placing that pivot point lower down in the car makes it easier to get your hand in to put it on, but also to remove it. Anyway, I'm going to do it with this bolt because I can get this out. Okay, I've actually done that off camera. I don't know if we can actually see the bolt up there or not. Possibly not. I'm not sure. Oh, maybe we can. Just up there. So there you go. That's the clutch pedal in position and working the master cylinder. Now you can see here we've got a good pitch between the pedals and a nice meaty pedal. You're looking at 110mm, as I say, between each pedal, and these pedals will actually take the standard, or pedal fronts will actually take the standard Jaguar pedal rubber, which is my preference. Sorry, this is the pedal rubber, and these will go on here. It's quite difficult to do in car, but you can get them to go on. I think you get the gist. I think they look quite nice, as I say, even pitched. And I'm going to try and, you can see the accelerator is, I don't know, it's about an inch below the brake pedal. And I'm going to try and get this clutch pedal half an inch forward from the brake. So that seems to be the norm. Okay, there you go, we're in, and hopefully that gives you some idea of some of the problems we've overcome, some of the problems you face if you're trying to do this. Obviously this particular car is a 1996 Jaguar XK8. It's a right-hand drive, and I've converted from a 3-bolt to a 4-bolt servo. So this is the 4-bolt servo. So I'm sure the details will be slightly different, but the gist of it is the same. So that's that for this video. In the next video, I've been struggling with the specification of Wilwood cylinders, so I want to do a little video on that, just to emphasize to people you need to start with a correct cylinder, because you will lose a lot of time and it won't work quite correctly, as I've found. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Hope you're enjoying this series. Please like, comment, share and subscribe for more XK8 videos. Bye bye.